Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. And today is almost the end of October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I decided that I would hop on and talk to you a little bit about my journey as a breast cancer survivor. Some of you might be wondering, why did I wait till the end of the month to do this video? And the truth is, for those of us who are survivors and thrivers, it's a huge epidemic, and I figured I would come and do a little story time. So without further ado, if you want to learn more about my journey as a survivor and thriver, stay tuned.
Checks like I wanna sing. My wrist, stop watching. My neck is frozen. Make big deposits. My glass is dropping. You like my hair? She thinks she's got it. I see it. I like it. I want it. I got it. Yeah, I want it. I got it. I want it. I got it. I want it. I got it. I want it. I got it.
So if you follow me on any social media platform, then you may have heard a little bit about my story, which is I was diagnosed at the age of 26. When I was diagnosed, I did not have health insurance, and so the process of me finding out that I even had breast cancer was kind of a journey in and of itself. I was having discharge from my right breast, and I went to a local clinic because I've realized that was not normal. When I got to that clinic, they basically told me that there was nothing wrong and don't worry about it and good luck. Gave me a pap smear and kind of sent me on my way. I later got a second opinion and then was referred for a third opinion to Huntington Memorial Hospital in Pasadena, California, where they finally kind of took me serious and wanted to do some actual tests to see what it was. Even there at Huntington, I still, because I was 26 years old, was not really given a mammogram off jump. They realized that I did have a small lump, which is called DCIS, ductal carcinoma in situ, which is one of the different types of breast cancer that you can have. They went in to do what is called a lumpectomy, which means removal of the lump. So they take the lump out and the duct that it is possibly attached to and anything else around there like that could have been infected. When they went in to do that lumpectomy is when they found out that there was actually a larger lump in there that was stage 2. So after having my first lumpectomy, I then was given a mammogram because they realized it was much more severe than what they thought it was, and my treatments started from there. So the diagnosis portion of my journey really came from me kind of advocating for myself and knowing my body and understanding that what I was going through was not normal. The next step for my journey was the treatments. So yes, I had several different surgeries. I've had almost a dozen surgeries, all pertaining just to breast cancer. So I had the lumpectomy. I had a bilateral mastectomy, which is basically where they remove both breasts. And honey, that was quite an interesting thing to go through at 26. I mean, really at any age, but to be such a young woman and a newly divorced single mom, it was a lot to kind of go through. So I tell the story all the time that I was bald and boobless for a portion of my late 20s because of all the things that I was going through. So after they did the bilateral mastectomy, they had to do what is called clearing the margins. And clearing the margins basically means that when they remove the cancer, they need to have a certain amount of additional tissue that they remove to make sure that they've gotten not just the cancer, but anything surrounding that could have been affected. So I had 2 what are called re-excisions, which is basically they go in to make sure they clear the margins, and then they had to go back in to make sure they cleared the margins again because they didn't the first 2 times. I also had a surgery for reconstruction. And the reconstruction is a whole nother journey in and of itself. When you have a mastectomy or the removal of your breasts, you have the option to have implants or expanders put in immediately or later. So I opted to have the expanders put in right away, which means it's kind of like a deflated balloon that's in there. And since they have removed both breasts and cut all of the skin off as well, then there's a deflated balloon in there that they have to then reshape the mold of your chest to be able to insert implants. And the way they do that, honey, is there is a metal piece on the expander somewhere. And when you go to the doctor once a week, they take kind of like a, I don't know, metal finder. What would that thing be called? I don't know. And they go, nee, 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 nee. It actually doesn't make a noise. But they find where that metal piece is. They mark that area where that metal piece is, and then they stab you, stab you like that. It's really hard. And when they get in there, then they start inserting saline so that the balloon starts to gradually become larger and larger, and in turn is also stretching the skin to create a new breast mold to slide in some implants eventually. So I went through all of those types of treatments until I got to where I was a big enough size to be able to put in implants. Another part of my treatment was to have radiation and chemotherapy. Radiation is where there's, how can I describe this? They're basically charbroiling you with a laser kind of a light so that any area that is infected is kind of burned to a crisp and dies. The side effect of this is that it also is going to charbroil this color of your skin. So my skin is darker on this side than it is on this side because this was the cancerous side. And it's a lot lighter. It used to be this black, honestly. And the skin, kind of peels and it's very interesting. So the radiation, what it did to my expanders and eventually my implants is the skin was so tight and the elasticity is not the same from that newly kind of stretched skin, plus now it's been radiated. So I had to have additional surgeries to remove the old implant, try a new one. That one, then the skin once again collapsed on it. So they decided to do a tram flap. Tram flap Tram flap surgery is where they take your stomach muscle and skin and move that up here. Kind of helps to have more of a softer feel, and because it's not a foreign object in your body, it might respond a little bit differently to an area that has been irradiated. So I had the tram flap, which left me a scar from side to side, where they bring that up here, and so I've got a stomach muscle and a smaller implant on this side just to kind of make it round it out. What else? What else has happened? Tram flap. Oh, I had an infection in my tram flap, so I had to be admitted to the hospital for that and had to stay there for a few days for that infection. I had a 1 in 1 million response to chemotherapy. So what is chemotherapy? Chemotherapy, if I could describe it kind of in layman's terms, is almost like drinking bleach. That's what I would think that drinking bleach would taste and feel like. It is literally from the inside out burning everything. So good cells and bad cells are once again kind of being charbroiled and with the hopes that it will kill off any of those abnormal cells that are causing the cancer, essentially. But it burns the taste buds basically off of your tongue, so you don't really have taste. depending on the form of chemo, you probably see patients, where not only are they losing hair on their head, but they're also losing eyelashes, arm hair, leg hair, underarm hair. Um, it is literally, and every body responds to it differently, but uh, it is literally kind of killing off access to everything that is good and everything that is bad. I had a really, really bad reaction to where I was fainting. My white blood cell count was down to single digits, and so I had a fever, which means my body was not responding well. And if you have a fever while you have after chemo or during chemo, you are supposed to be rushed immediately to the hospital, because the chance of you getting something common like a cold and perishing from that is very significant. So had to be quarantined in the hospital for a little while after my first round of chemo, because my body was like, nah. Not only did I have vomiting and diarrhea, but I also, for a moment, could not hear. And again, I had fainted, and it was just really a hot mess. So, treatments. I also, after my one round of chemo, because of how negative of a response my body had to it, I was given uh, other hormonal therapies. So, one of those is called Lupron. Cancer, or breast cancer rather, usually has something that is feeding it. So, they will test your body to see what is feeding the cancer, what is causing it to grow, and mine was estrogen. My breast cancer was estrogen positive, and so to be injected in the hip um, every so often, it was stopped. That Lupron basically stops the production of estrogen and circulation of estrogen in the body. In turn, that also means that it puts you into an early menopause. So I experienced hot flashes and night sweats and joint pain and everything that an older, more seasoned woman would experience naturally, as she progressed in age. I experienced at 26. Um, it was awful. Yeah. I also had to do hormonal chemotherapy through, instead of doing it intravenously, which means through the veins, because of how bad that reaction was, I had to take it by pill, which also had its own side effects. Because of my one round of chemo, I still lost all of my hair, and that was very, very traumatic for me. Um, I mean, this whole journey has been a test and a testament to, um, God's grace in my life, really. So those are some of the treatments that I had to undergo during my journey. There's still more reconstructive surgeries that need to take place, and I'm coming up on almost 10 years, but because I did not have health insurance at the time, Medi-Cal covered me, but eventually said, you should be fine by now. Like, we're tired of covering you. So that coverage eventually ran out, and so now I need to figure out how to get these last few reconstructive surgeries so that I can feel a little bit more confident. I wanted to be able to come on YouTube and share for anybody and everybody to be able to see. Um, it's also very important for me to share with you, because people perceive, we look at people, and we perceive that they maybe have it all together, or that their life is this or their life is that. And we really truly don't know what's going on behind the scenes, or what led their journey to this season that they're in. So to anyone that is faced with anything, be encouraged, because we may not always understand why we are going through those things, but I guarantee it is shaping and molding you into who you are called to become. I am not a medical professional, but I do know a little bit about this one subject. So please feel free to leave those comments and questions in the comment section below. If you have not already subscribed, make sure you do that, because I'm going to be talking a lot more about a lot more things, and hopefully giving you some insight, some inspiration, and some encouragement for your just day-to-day life. So make sure you like this video and hit the bell so that you can be notified when I upload more stuff. Is that all? Is that the end of our story time? I guess so. Breast cancer awareness is every single month for those of us who live it every single day. So be informed, be educated, be encouraged, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.
Checks like I wanna sing. My wrist, stop watching. My neck is fuzzy. Make big deposits. My glass is popping. You like my hair? She thinks she's got it.